Good morning everyone. My name is Marc Conrad Reyes from BPED 4B and I am here to discuss the selected indigenous science and technologies. But first, here are the learning objectives of this lesson. At the end of this chapter, the students should be able to identify the different indigenous material in the past, differentiate indigenous science and technologies, value the importance of selected indigenous science and technologies in everyday life. Okay, going back to the topic, selected indigenous science and technologies. Filipinos have attempted to invent instruments that will aid them in their everyday lives and also came up with new theories for describing events from their environment. Noon, ang mga Pilipino ay nag-imbento ng mga bagay at material na nagagamit nila sa pang-araw-araw nila pamumuhay at kadalasan ay ginagamit upang pampalipas oras. At dahil sa mga kagamitang ito, nagkaroon ng mga teorya at kuro-kuro ang mga tao sa kapaligiran. And later on, I will discuss the theories made by our ancestors. Now let us proceed to the number 1, which is the indigenous knowledge. Ang indigenous knowledge ay isang kaalaman na nakukuha sa paniniwala ng isang grupo ng mga indigenous people noong araw, gaya ng beliefs, traditions, stories, poems, and songs that may or may not be based on their imaginations. So, the next topic that I will discuss to you are the indigenous science and the indigenous technologies. So, first, we have the indigenous science. Ito ay isang kaalaman or ideya at mga impormasyon na nakukuha mula sa mga kinagawian or kinagisnan na pangyayari ng mga indigenous people noong araw, na kung saan ito ay nakatutulong sa kanila sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay, gaya ng agrikultura, medisina, mga kalamidad at maging ang pagbabago ng ating panahon. So now let me inform you about the different products of indigenous science. Okay, for number 1, we have the weather observation. So this is one of the common product of indigenous science where animal observations are also emphasized. To detect the weather, there are animals that give clues or obvious movement like the cow. So if cow's option is to lay, the rain is on the way. Another example is if squirrels nest higher, our winter will be awful or extreme than what we are expected. So, number 2 is herbal medicines and traditional health practices. So, before the Spaniards came to our country, ang pagtatanim ng mga herbal na gamot ay ginagawa na ng mga Pilipino noong araw dahil ito ay nakatutulong upang magamot ang mga karamdaman ng ating mga mahal sa buhay and at the same time, na ibebenta at nagiging pangunahing pinagkakakitaan ang mga herbal na gamot noong araw. So, nakatutulong din ito upang makagamot ng physical pains at ginagamit na pangmasahe ng katawan. So, in our present times, DOH has tolerate the use of medical plants such as garlic, bitter melon, sambong, and guava leaves upang gamiting herbal na gamot laban sa mga sakit. So now, I will give you some examples of traditional and indigenous things that indigenous peoples do before. Una na dyan is yung hilot. So, this is a traditional practice that we call massage or therapy nowadays that can treat sprains and fractures. So, another thing is tawas. So, ang tawas, this is a ritual activity that can establish the cause of disease or pain or someone that are related to supernatural phenomenon. So, halimbawa ang usog or nakatapak sa punso or may tinamaang hindi nakikita kapag naghahagis ng kung ano-ano sa tabi-tabi kapag madilim na. Last thing is tuli. Ito ay isang kagawian na ng ating mga ninuno na kung saan ang mga lalaki kapag dumating na sa wastong edad ay tinutuli or sinocircumcise in English para malinis ng maayos ang mga maselang parte ng katawan ng lalaki. May mga kasabihan noon na kapag ang isang lalaki ay hindi nagpatuli, maaring hindi ito makabuntis. Kaya naman, ang mga lalaki noong araw ay nagpapatuli na. So now, let us proceed in number 3, which is the food observation. So, kanina ay inoobserbahan natin ang panahon, ngayon naman ay oobserbahan din natin ang mga pagkain. So, drying, smoking, cooling, freezing, fermenting, salting, pickling, and canning are all age-old food preservation procedures. So, ang mga paraan na ito ay naging epektibo noong araw dahil wala pa naman tayong storage of food like refrigerator, di ba? Kaya naman nag-imbento ang mga indigenous people noong araw upang mag-preserve ang kanilang mga pagkain at umabot hanggang sa ilang araw or ilang buwan. Noon, ang pinaka-epektibong paraan ng pagpe-preserve ng pagkain ay ang pagbibilad sa araw at pinapausukan ito upang mawala o matuyo ang tubig na nasa loob ng pagkain at para hindi maging sanhi ng pagkakaroon ng bakterya at pagkapanis. Ang panghuli naman ay ang classifying soil. So, ito ay isang paraan ng mga Pilipino noong araw upang malaman ng mga tao kung ang isang bahagi ng lupa ay pwede na bang taniman o hindi pa. So, based on their observation and experiences, they cultivate the soil until they saw it watery, and that is the best time to plant crops as a source of their food. And that is my report for today. Now, may I call on the next reporter, Ma'am Marlyn B. Cabanlig. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reyes. So now, let's move for the indigenous technologies. So, products that have emerged as a result of research into indigenous science, developed by people in accordance to their culture, traditions, and needs, and then adapted to use in their surroundings. Invented indigenous technologies. Okay, first is indigenous technology named yo-yo. All of us are surely familiar with yo-yo because it has been popular since childhood. The word itself comes from the Philippines, where the toy was introduced in early 19th century. Yo-yo being the Tagalog word supposedly meaning come and go. The first US toy was issued in 1866, but it was not until 1928 that a Filipino immigrant named Pedro Flores popularized the toy. Flores made the key innovation in the yo-yo. Instead of trying a knot around the axle, he used a loop which allowed the yo-yo slip or spin and to perform other tricks. Second is indigenous technology, medical incubator. So, Dr. Mundo is the first woman admitted to Harvard Medical School. Although she is the most known for this groundbreaking achievement in 1936. Del Mundo has pioneered a lot of things important not only in the field of pediatrics or medicine but also in society. Dr. Del Mundo invented an incubator made of bamboo to help families in rural communities without electricity. Del Mundo invented a bamboo incubator in 1941 according to a biographical report on Del Mundo by the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism. The physician's makeshift incubator was composed of two native larder baskets made of bamboo. Made of different sizes, the baskets were placed one inside the other. She would then put the hot water bottles all around and between the basket to regulate the body temperature of baby. Third is indigenous technology erythromycin. Abelardo Aguilar is a physician from Iloilo collected soil samples in his backyard to isolate microbes on a fateful day in 1949. He had no idea that one of his isolates would lead to the development of erythromycin, a powerful antibiotic. Erythromycin is used to treat and prevent a wide range of infection in the body. These infections include infection of the respiratory tract and skin, acute phallic, inflammatory disease, pertussis, Legionnaire's disease, and syphilis. It is also prescribed as a replacement drug for patients allergic to penicillin. Erythromycin is classified as a macrolide antibiotic and works by killing bacteria or preventing further growth. Next is indigenous technology, fish sauce. In 1949, Ruperta de Javier, more popularly known as Aling Tentay, accidentally discovered that she can make fish sauce and paste bagoong from the abundant fish hulls na botas by storing salted fish in jars. Confident of her delicious spaces and being the enterprising housewife that she is, she started selling her sauce to her neighbors and friends. Vote sauce, which simply called Tentay. Half century later, the brand Tentay has become a staple in every Filipino kitchen and has been part of a cooking tradition passed on from one generation to the next. Next is indigenous technology, banana ketchup. Maria Urasa Ilagan is a food technologist. She is credited with developing the first banana ketchup recipe, and she also experimented with traditional Philippine ingredients to produce food products such as calamansi nip, which is powdered juice, and soyalak, a powdered version of soybeans that was utilized to save the lives of many Filipinos in other countries. Next is indigenous technology, anti-cancer cream and mole remover. Rolando de la Cruz is a Filipino inventor who invented anti-cancer cream and was honored with the Gold Award in 2005. It's called cream and it is made from cashew nuts and various plants found in the area. Deb CC treats various types of skin cancer such as basal skin carcinoma, and that's not only he invented, there is also a lotion that is effective for removing or if you want to remove warts and moles from different parts of your body. Next is indigenous technology, 16-bit microchip. A Filipino invented the first 16-bit microchip. Diosdado Banatao made a single-chip graphical user interface accelerator, which helps to improve the performance of the computer. He made it because he wanted to replace true textual with true image to make it easier.